What animal is most likely to be the most ethical hooper?
Hey yo, welcome back to the High Kicks podcast. How we doing, everybody? Finger guns for Carl because once again he is not here. A good friend of his got to the Cape and today's their birthday, so he's vibing out with his friends tonight. It is what it is. I had an answer to your question that I said before the show, but um I am going to change that answer because I feel like it could come off the wrong way. And I am going to go with the Animal Kingdom's version of Victor Wembanyama and go with the giraffe.
Fair enough. Um, I was just gonna go with elephant again.
I mean, that just sounds like the Animal Kingdom's version of Shaq in the paint.
Yeah, but ethically,
You saying,
they have funerals, they remember.
dude, do you hear that
They
story?
don't flop in the paint like a Carl Anthony Towns.
Did you hear that story? I don't know how true it is, but like apparently some guy like pissed off a specific elephant so hard that the elephant like remembered who he was and then showed up at his funeral and like trampled his
Yes,
grave.
yes, yeah, he trampled his grave. Yes.
Oh fuck.
Ethical. Ethically hating on him. Okay. Unlike the National Beans Association putting on stinker after stinker night after night. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into the footy, if you guys want any like ethical sports conversation and you want to chat with us or honestly just a bunch of really cool sports people, head over to the Trailer Park Sports Instagram or TikTok and pop in the Discord. Great community of people. We have our own Discord, but I'm not going to lie, we don't really use it, and I'm just going to transition everything kind of to TPSN. But dude, this feels weird. Season's over.
Thank fuck. Fuck this.
You and I are in different boats. I was happy watching Liverpool run the Prem.
The worst champions of all time.
Hey, a Prem trophy's a Prem trophy. Also, before we get into the nitty gritty of the table and kind of how the season went and everything, um, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to everybody who was affected, injured, just kind of horrified, or anybody who was involved with the car driving through the Liverpool parade, because that is just awful, terrible, just so goddamn sad that such an incredible moment where a club could celebrate a championship with their fans for the first time in so long because they couldn't with the last title because of COVID. Um, Thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who was affected by that because that is just a horrible situation.
I mean, yeah, you said it perfectly, Brian.
I I'm sad it's over. I'm happy we won the title. The last day of the season was kind of nutty. I'm really not gonna lie. Like I'm looking at all the matches. What sticks out to me the most is how bad I feel for Aston Villa.
Completely, completely jammed out of Champions League.
And look, they were down a man. I'm not saying that they would have gone on to win that match had that goal counted, but we live in an era of football where referees are and linesmen are instructed to let things go because we have VAR, because VAR can go back and make the correct call. Like on a close bang bang play like that, Do your job right. Let it go. Let VAR make the right decision because that should have been a goal for Aston Villa.
Now, Brian, you make the fair point that Aston Villa were down to 10 men.
Hmm.
However, Man United just lost to the Malaysian All-Star team.
I understand that Manchester United just lost to the Malaysian All-Star
So,
team.
I feel like Aston Villa probably would have won this game.
I do tend to
That's
agree
my
where if that goal had gone in, or I mean, if that goal had counted, let's say, Aston Villa would have just parked the damn bus and defended until the end of the game. Because part of why Manchester United got the first goal and then the second goal is because Villa had to go balls to the wall to try and score and to try and qualify for Europe. So they left themselves very, very exposed defensively. But it just goes back to we have VAR for a reason on a close, tough decision like that. You know?
and I'm not a gambling man, but I'm liking Hong Kong tomorrow.
Is Manchester United playing the Hong Kong All Stars tomorrow?
No, they're just facing Hong Kong.
Oh my God.
It literally states 8 a.m. Eastern time, a Hong Kong versus Man United. So, those kids from Kowloon are kind of tough.
I, dude, I spent about an hour last night explaining kind of just the nuances of footy to Cam from Average Joe Sports Network, like in TPSN, like in the Discord, just talking to him about like the ins and outs of just like what makes the game so different. And I was just talking about like the money involved and like how big clubs sustain their wealth in terms of constantly qualifying for Europe and getting deep into those competitions. And I brought up the fact that Manchester United is just fucked. And losing to the Malaysian All-Stars, and if they lose to Hong Kong tomorrow, and I saw some people on the internet just being like, Manchester United played like 8 or 9 academy guys against the Malaysian All-Stars. Like Manchester United's U16s, U17s should be able to beat the Malaysian All-Stars. Anybody who's in the realm of getting a senior call up for any kind of match for Manchester United they should be able to their fucking C senior team, if they even have one, should be able to put up like 5 goals against the Malaysian All-Stars.
Look, man, you just can't sleep on Harrison Delbridge, you know? Just can't. He's so good.
That sounds like a random FIFA generated name for like a youth talent that you would scout like 4 years
No,
into your
he
managerial mode.
he played in Cincinnati in like 2017.
I mean, that's fair, but I'm still saying what the name sounds like.
You have Ezekiel Aguero.
Okay.
Um, they were facing Declan Lambert. No, I just find it really funny that they played a half with like Hoyland, Casemiro, fucking Harry Maguire, Onana, Dallo.
And
Like
weren't up like 6-0?
yeah,
It's fucking embarrassing.
I actually think Delbridge is the only person to be on a team. I'm looking through everyone's career on FootMob right now, outside of like one Australian dude. I think Delbridge is the only person that is on a team that I recognize in the past.
It's wild. And to all of the Manchester United fans out there, to anybody who is a Manchester United fan listening to us, to Carl, who is one of our co hosts who supports Manchester United, there is no goddamn excuse for what happened against the Malaysian All Stars. I said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter what team you send out. I said their U17 should be able to win that game. Their U15 should be able to win that match.
Again, I just feel like I don't know. It's going to be a really rough start to August with Amarim in charge.
And here's the deal. If they're in like 12th, 13th, 14th in that kind of range by December, they're going to sack Amarim. And I think what management, and this is not just a Manchester United thing. I think Chelsea has gone through this. I think other clubs go through this too. If you sack a manager that soon without giving a manager enough time, all you're doing is just constantly restarting the cycle and holding yourself back. Like most of the time when a club is in the shitter or a team is in the shitter in any kind of sport, and you change managers or you change coaches, there is bad before there is good. Like I don't mean to take this to like American football and to the NFL, but there were people calling for Dan Campbell's job in Detroit when his tenure didn't go well. Look at it now.
I
And
will say,
okay, go ahead.
I feel like this is a United team that, with the right transfer window, can immediately bounce back
I agree.
because so like you look at the people that are like on the chopping block, right? Rashford is technically on loan.
I mean,
Anthony's technically on loan. I
yeah.
don't know if there's like sell on stuff, but like you sell those guys. Sancho, I don't know what you do with him. Chelsea are literally paying them 5 million to keep him.
Yeah, they're Chelsea are paying Manchester United 5 million to take Jadon Sancho back.
um, so I, but at least with the first two stated, and probably Garnacho is probably going to be a decent haul. Um,
Wait, hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I saw a Manchester United fan post something about what he wants the window to look like. And he listed outgoing transfers and he said Garnacho sold for 64 million.
um,
That's absurd.
someone would be dumb enough to do that. I feel like. I
The
mean,
only club dumb enough to do that is the club that he plays for.
Liam Delap just got bought for 35 million, man. I think we're in for an absolute insane window. I think we're ready to see some world-class money laundering. Like genuinely, I
That's
think we
fair.
are like Bruno has a $2 billion contract sitting at his feet right now.
The Bruno thing is really
Like
interesting because he came out and said something. I forgot what source I read this on, but he said something along. It might have been one of the multiple sources on FootMob, but he came out and said that he would love to continue playing for Manchester United. Manchester United is his home. It is his club. That is where his heart is. But if the right offer comes in and the club feels like they need to move on with him from him to reinvest and properly rebuild the club, he will leave if everybody involved feels like that's what's best for Manchester United. And like that takes guts to say. And
it
it shows how much he loves the club. He wants to stay there. But he's like, if you guys need the money, I'll leave and I'll do what's best for the club.
the thing is, I just don't think they're a competitive team next year without him.
Oh, dude,
Like
dude.
he's the only guy that supplied any sort of like a substantial attack for them.
I feel like if they end up selling Bruno, one, I wouldn't sell him for less. I mean, if you're selling him to, let's say, like a Saudi side, the negotiations start at 175.
Yeah, basically.
And if you get that 175, you can't spend all of it right away because it puts you right back in the same kind of boat with PSR/FFP. So it's one of those things that if it were to happen, you still have to treat the window the way you would treat the window had you not made that decision because you need a financial buffer.
Yeah. Um, I just I don't know, man. Like I feel like United will make it for a really interesting rebuild save on FM next year. But like again, I feel like we are about to see. I think Chelsea pulling the trigger on Liam Delop's transfer clause just tells me that we're going to see some absolute money laundering, unserious levels of payment to players. Honestly, I just think that's such an insane signing to make from Chelsea. From Chelsea, it's just another 30 million pound like spent on a player that isn't ready for a high level yet.
I would agree with that.
And I get that like he was basically Ipswich's attack, and Ipswich wasn't a good team around him, but he was also just you're paying 35 million for shit you haven't seen yet, and for flashes you haven't seen yet. Like he had that one game against Aston Villa, but you're paying 35 million for a brace against Aston Villa. Like,
I mean, don't get me wrong. So 35 million is a fuck ton of money. But where we are in the transfer market, and especially in the Premier League club, or I mean, I guess Ipswich isn't a Premier League club anymore, given the season's over.
oh yeah,
But
yeah, but it's
English club to English club, 35 million pounds is the new 15 million pounds.
yeah,
So like,
which
which is wild to say. The footy transfer
which
market has gotten so inflated, but given the state of the market, I don't think 30. Like, how old is Delap? 20?
um I think hold on. I literally
21?
just I'll tell you right now. I literally just had his page up. He's 22.
So, considering that United spent like close to 75 mil on Hoyland, who you were also buying that for potential and not really for what he had done, that kind of money on Delap doesn't sound too crazy to me.
It doesn't. I just find it really funny that I mean, Chelsea are just going to continue to just outrageously buy on players and won't get punished for it.
Yeah,
Which again, back to what I was saying about United. Like, I feel like they can potentially be bailed out with outrageous over expenditure from other teams.
yeah, yeah. So, like, I honestly think Forest, for example, should be targeting Manchester United castaways. Like I'm gonna just pop up the table right here. So like we had Liverpool 1, Arsenal 2, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Forest. Those are all the European clubs. And then you got Palace in 12th because they won the FA Cup, and it's fucking hysterical seeing Spurs in 17th with that little green bar for the Champions League next to them. But one, I know like Marinakis was super pissed off that Forest fumbled the Champions League, but footy is a sport where you have to build slowly if you're a smaller club and you want to be sustainable at the top. Like, look at Girona. They had a phenomenal season last year. They qualified for the Champions League, and then everybody got bought, and they just absolutely fucking shit the bed, and they were not ready for a schedule that included European footy. I think when you look at Forest, finishing in seventh place for them is a blessing in disguise because, yes, they have a European schedule ahead of them, but it's a much weaker European schedule than it would have been had they made the Europa League or had they made the Champions League. And I think they can target castaway type players from, and I know I just said it, but like from a Manchester United. I mean, Alanga has worked out phenomenally for Forest. Who's to say that Garnacho couldn't work out there as well? And I don't know. I think this is going to be a slow rise for Forest rather than a fast rise like what we've seen with Newcastle. And even Newcastle's rise hasn't even been that fast after their crazy
Or
takeover.
are you implying that Christian Eriksen is going to lead Nottingham Forest to a Conference League title next year?
Maybe.
Are you implying well, I'm looking at this roster, just trying to see like who's here. Um Honestly, he's like the only like bench player where you'd be like, yeah, I'd take a chance with him. I can't lie. Like I know like you they have like Casemiro, he's probably done. They have Garnacho's done, but like dude, I'm sorry.
Wait, so speaking on Garnacho real
He's
quick.
he's
You see
flipping.
that you see that quote that was going around that Amorm apparently said?
Yeah, he's like good luck finding another club.
Even worse, he said, "You better pray to God that a club wants to sign you." Do you believe that quote was real?
No,
I do
but
not either.
I have a feeling that it's true anyways because this guy is flipping off people at the Malaysian All-Star game.
I thought that was Diallo.
I thought that was Garnacho.
No, it was Ahmad. But Ahmad came out and said that he flipped off that fan when they were like walking through whatever because he thought he heard the fan say something negatively about his mother. It wasn't footy related at all. Like he thought his mom got shit docked, so he threw up the bird. And like, don't get me wrong, if I were a professional athlete and I saw some random fan and they just were yelling obscene things about my mother, a middle finger is the lowest of possible
Hold
things that
on.
they would get. Or did
Hold
Garnacho
on.
do it too?
We have a that is Garnacho. That's Garnacho, bro.
Oh,
That's
Garnacho did it too.
That's Garnacho flipping off the bird, man.
Okay, so Garnacho did
I,
it too. I
no.
didn't know Garnacho did it. I was referencing the Diallo incident because that one has kind of been more all over social media.
Diallo did it after the fact in plains clothes, which is one thing. Garnacho was doing it on the field. On
Dude,
the
Garnacho like has the fucking ego of like Cristiano Ronaldo when like
but he has like the drive of DeAndre Ayton.
honestly, yeah.
He is
He 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 almost
I
he
feel like he
almost has
does
the drive of like Jamarcus Russell.
yeah, I feel like he doesn't like to be pushed. Oh, this is of course coming from a fat fuck in America who's never met the guy before. But
All
I
right, but
just feel like
Chad, you might be a fat fuck, but like you were a defensive lineman playing American football in college. You could not have played your position without being the size that you are.
oh, I get that. I but there are athletes like Garnacho who quite literally are a wet napkin under any sort of it's like, hey buddy, you gotta be a little bit better. You know, any sort of criticism gets thrown their way, and they're kind of like, dude, you just hate me. He's I feel like he's just a he seeks to be the victim. I feel like
I also
if
don't
anyone's ever
think
played with someone like that,
I definitely have. Don't get me wrong. I've played with plenty of them. Um, who, whenever they would make mistakes and let guys through on one on oh breakaways with me in net, and then I would get scored on, and they would yell at me for not making the save. Uh, I've played with a lot of those, but I also feel like I don't think this problem is exclusive to just Garnacho. I I tend to agree with some of like the older heads in the footy community where I think the younger generation tends to be a little bit egotistical and tends to think like, "Oh, I made it. I'm done improving." Where you have guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, who are always working their ass off, who are always training hard, who are always trying to get better. And I think that level of wow, I said worth. I was going to say worth ethic. That level of work ethic is somewhat gone. I'm not saying it's gone for everybody because, like, from what I've seen, and very limited, but from what I've seen from guys like Desiree Doué at PSG, he seems like he works his fucking ass off. You take a look at Lamine Yamal and how much better he has gotten since he made his debut at 15. That dude has fucking work ethic. But, like, you have to be one of the best players in the world, bar none, to be able to look at your manager and be like, hey, yo, chill. And Garnacho is nowhere near that.
He's hit a single bicycle kick and now he thinks he's Rooney.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he hit a single bicycle kick, and look, it was
Impressive.
impressive, and it was in a
Impressive.
Premier League match. But, like, I'm sorry, you're not Gareth Bale hitting a bicycle kick in the Champions League final.
It's just like start showing that consistently, and a lot of people will like you. But I think we should be enough with talking about these shitters. I think we should talk about other shitters.
Which shitters do you want to talk about?
The teams in the Premier League next year.
Hit it. Phenomenal transition, Wolfgang Chadius Mozart.
I just like guys. We're gonna go like 2 straight years of like the relegated teams just being sent straight back down. Maybe Leeds have something different. Maybe Daniel Fark magically becomes an infinitely better Premier League coach. But like, I understand a lot of people want to give the context of like North City when Fark was in charge, then were an underfund, like didn't have as well funds, but they broke their transfer spending record, and the team still sucked.
Yeah, I
Like,
also, I'm not necessarily looking at it from the sense of, because, hear me out. Is Sunderland going back down? Yes. Is Leeds going back down? Maybe.
maybe,
And I think if Leeds stays up, it will not be their own doing and their own play that keeps them up. So yeah, I think Sunderland and I think Burnley are probably headed right back down. The thing that could keep Leeds up is how utterly terrible I think Wolves are going to be without Cunha.
yeah, it's more or less like who's gonna suck more. But
Exactly.
look, man, like they probably will replace. They'll find someone better. Hopefully, if you're running with Brendan Aronson as your 11 in the Prem in 2025, as a as the president of the Brendan Aronson fan club, you might be cooked.
You might be cooked.
You might be cooked. You also need to have a very short leash on Fark. I'm talking like one positive result in the first 4 games. I'm being dead ass. You cut him off. You just say, fuck it. It's like, dude, we've been here before. We've seen it with you in the past.
I
The whole point of
saw
him going to Leeds, the whole point of him going to Leeds was to get them promoted. Not a single Leeds fan is like, I can't wait for the Daniel Fark Premier League season. Any motherfucker says that is lying. I feel like any person who's like, I can't wait for Daniel Fark to lead my Premier League team, you don't want that.
Have you seen all the Premier League predictions, like way too early predictions going around on TikTok lately?
No.
So I saw one that most accurate prediction I have ever seen. And it's basically 1 through 20, obviously. And it just, throughout 1 through 20, at each number, it basically says one word. And each word is, it's way too early to make a prediction list. We don't know what's going to happen. And it was 17 words. Because in the 2 spot, they had Arsenal. In the 12 spot, they had Palace. And then they just, for shits, had Manchester United in last. But like, I think that's a fair assumption. I mean,
Like,
I'm going to predict Arsenal in second because they're Arsenal. I'm going to predict Palace in 12th because it just seems like they're glued to 12th.
I think what Leeds at least have the benefit in is that they're not one of these teams that needs over 50% possession to win a game. They are capable of having like sub 15% possession and still scoring goals. But
That's fair.
obviously, you're going to need a big year from Joel Piro, um, Al Tanaka, Ampadu, and whoever is going to be your goalkeeper. If
Is
it's
Melier still
Darlow,
their goalkeeper?
that's the thing. Nobody, I don't think they want him to be their goalkeeper in the Prem next
God,
year. And
holy fall off. Because do you remember a couple years ago, like how well he was playing? Like
yeah, everyone's like, oh, this is the guy.
I am on record, and for anybody who wants to go try and find it, go through the archives of the podcast. I I am really I was not am, but I was really high on him. There was a period of time where his footwork was unreal. His command of the box for when he was like 21, 22 years old was exceptional. His reaction time, his shot stopping. And like I'm not claiming to be like some kind of elite goalkeeper analyst, but I feel like I know more about goalkeepers than I mean most people, actually not most people, anyone that I know and most people I interact with. I learned goalkeeping from a guy who played for the youth Costa Rican national team, who is an exceptional goalkeeper, who's a freak of nature, who has such a great understanding of the game, and he taught everything he knew to me. Like, I was so high on Melier, and shit just hit the fucking fan.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, he's become very mistake prone. I just realized if you have Patrick Bamford coming off the bench, you're not a Premier League team. Um, I am never going to forgive what that motherfucker did to this American Leeds experiment. That man is a fucking double agent in disguise. Absolute waste of a fucking roster spot in the Premier League will be used on him. And the other thing is they just got a really massive season from Mander Solomon, who
Do
is
you,
on loan from
wait,
like
speaking of Bamford, do you
Leeds.
remember that period of time, like when they had their, like, what was it, a 2 or 3 year stint in the Prem? Like the first year where
Yeah,
Bamford scored like 20 goals?
yeah, and then honestly, I didn't buy it. I'm like, hold on. It's like let's give it a year.
Yeah,
Let's give it a year, and
yeah.
then albeit they just weren't a good team outside of him. He just hasn't found that since. They need to replace 22 goal contributions in Mano Solomon. Going back to I think it's Tottenham on loan. He's gonna be really fun to watch for them next year.
It will be.
Uh, and I just find it really funny that we all know Burnley's gonna be so fucking garbage. We're just not even gonna fucking talk about them.
I don't need to talk about it.
Like, oh, no, hold on. I didn't see how much of the relegated roster is basically going to be back. Can't be. Oh wow, that's a lot of really
Oh,
familiar names.
okay. I so while Chad is face palming about Burnley's roster, I do want to say, and we'll talk about this more throughout the offseason, but I'm pretty high on Spurs for next season. They, I mean, I know I, hear me out. I know I dogged on their performances, but as Chad said throughout the season, whenever I was giving them shit, they were injured as all hell all year. And I think they're bought in completely to Ange. And look, when I'm saying that I'm excited for Spurs, I'm not talking about like a title push. I'm not talking about like a Champions League semifinal. I'm talking about like maybe a round of 16 and like a top 5 finish.
I get that. It's just this is someone who you're talking to someone who has been waiting for this Tottenham team to be what they're supposed to be. And I get it, they won the Europa League, but sweet mother of God, they are so top heavy that
I mean, look, if somebody goes down who's important, they're fucked.
like that's it. They need to
But it
get
also,
depth.
we have no idea what they're going to look like next year because it all depends on the window.
Yeah, I think them getting. I will say, I think Manor Solomon is going to be fun for them.
I agree.
Um,
I think
I think
Brennan
it's they.
Johnson's going to continue to improve.
I think they're going to be fun, but are they
I
going
think
to
I think
be?
fun is the better word. I don't know if
Are
they're going to be
they?
good, but they're going to be fun.
I get. Yeah, it's more or less like, are we getting a like sixth place fun Aston Villa year kind of, or an 11th place Fulham type of season?
Yeah.
Or it's like yeah, they have like runs periodically, but it's like, are they actually gonna be a team? I can't do it anymore. Maybe they finally do good the year I don't have hope in them, but I've like tried so hard to like put stock in Tottenham. I'm like, guys, this is a good team in disguise. You just need to give it to. I can't do it. I can't.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. We're going to have a lot more to say about like the upcoming Premier League season like as the window starts to move and get more serious.
Oh,
Um but I kind of want to we're nearing like the 37-ish minute mark of the show. And I kind of want to move us on to somewhat of a pressing topic for the US men's national team that's been going on. So, a bunch of US men's national team players have opted to not play the Gold Cup this summer. Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Tim Weah. We have a bunch of guys who are not going to be there for this tournament this summer. And I feel like the overall opinion across football media is pretty split on that. And I don't know. Like, Chad, I want to know what you think.
so I think the Gold Cup is the most serious international tournament on the planet. You have esteemed countries
God, so
such
many
as
people are not going to
Mexico,
understand your sarcasm.
such as Mexico, Suriname, Guadalupe, Saudi Arabia.
I mean, hey. Saudi Arabia did beat Argentina at the last World Cup.
No, it's just like I was trying to do like one of these is not like the other. It's like, hey, look at all these North American teams. Saudi Arabia,
I know.
like, no,
But
I really love that the Gold Cup has continued the trend of let's invite a random Middle Eastern country and
well,
just see what happens.
because there's not enough teams in the Confederation to fill out the full goddamn tournament.
Which is so funny. It's like to change the goddamn format. Just do something. It's
I'm with
so
you,
it's so funny. They're like invite the Middle East.
but so the way I look at it is for Christian Pulisic, first and foremost, he should not play this tournament. He has played the most minutes of his career at AC Milan this season. He had a phenomenal year in Serie A. He needs the rest. When it comes down to McKinney and Musa and Weah, would I like to see them play? Sure. But if they feel like they need the rest, give them the rest. I think the Gold Cup is so diluted because I feel like it's held every fucking year. And for like Tim Howard, who came out and said, like, this is the last chance for Poch to see the team that he has before the World Cup in a serious moment. I don't really consider the Gold Cup to be a serious moment.
I think Tim Howard is coming from the perspective of like that used to be the shit. Like the Gold Cup used to be like the oh fuck yeah, we're here type of thing. But
I feel
obviously,
like
like
the
you
US
said,
men's
it's
national team
so
has moved past that.
yeah, exactly. But it's just altogether, I will say it puts him in a very tough position where this is like the last serious competition they're going to have until the World Cup,
So you want to
in
know? Do
which
you want to know
in
why I think it's a good thing that a bunch of actually I'm not even going to say not about. I
well,
think it's a good thing that a lot of these guys are missing the tournament. You know why?
I think it's so Posh can figure out his depth.
It gives Poch a chance to figure out his goddamn depth. Our team is so top heavy in this country that like if everybody who usually played in this tournament, like God forbid somebody goes down with a serious injury, like next February, next March, next April, this tournament not using our quote unquote A squad gives Poch a chance to see what he has. He's been
Which I
using,
get.
for the most part, the same batch of players the entire time. Let's see what we have. In the Nations League, when he gave Diego Luna a chance, he fucking balled out. Who else is going to ball out when they get the opportunity? Because when you get the opportunity, who knows if you're ever going to get it again?
Honestly though, I will say I feel like unfortunately instead of a prove it squad, we're just gonna get the same batch of guys that have fallen on their face with every opportunity that's been given to them.
See, I think Poch is smart enough to not do that. I think we're gonna get some of those guys who've fallen on their faces, but I also think we're gonna get some guys who are young, who are driven, who know that because the major players are sitting out, these guys are getting an audition for a chance to be considered for the World Cup squad.
Yeah. Um, hopefully. I mean,
Like I
eh,
think in the Nations
eh,
League, in the last Copa, or not Copa, Gold Cup. I mean, or even at the Copa America with this side. Like I see it as our players have been so complacent because they damn well know that their spots are secure on the national team no matter what happens. I think what we need is some young up and coming guys or some guys who haven't been capped before to get a chance to show what they have on, and I know it's not the biggest international stage, but the Gold Cup is kind of like the biggest
well,
international
it's gonna
stage
be
for
the biggest. It's gonna be the biggest stage they've been on. Let's be
exactly.
honest here.
And like, look,
Majority of these guys are gonna be MLS or like championship type
yeah.
of players.
And like, don't get me wrong, what I'm about to say is going to sound blasphemous, but I'm going to explain it afterwards in the sense of the Gold Cup is CONCACAF's Euros. It's CONCACAF's Copa America in the sense of it is the premier international tournament for the Confederation. It does not carry the same weight as a Copa America or as a Euros by any means. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
it it is a chance for a lot of these guys who are gonna get the opportunity to play to show what they have on the Confederation's biggest stage.
And I mean, for these other countries, like this is like their big time like moment. It's like, let's be honest here. No offense to like Curacao or you know Honduras, Haiti. Like these are countries who have like sub like 3% odds of making any other serious international tournament outside of this. This is it. And I think it will provide good competition. It's just also unfortunately we have the um shitty country politically tax being held against us. And I expect a very tough tournament for this team.
Yeah, I also, and I mean, we're way far out from the Gold Cup, but I'm going to look at this as this is Canada's tournament to lose.
I think
I could be wrong on that. I don't know what kind of rosters have been put out. I don't know whatever. But
I think it's
Mexico has been absolutely dog shit lately. We haven't been very good with our star players, and most of them aren't playing.
I feel like it's Saudi Arabia's lose.
I mean, that's also not that bad of a take.
Like I don't know. I mean maybe Panama, maybe Jamaica. I
Well,
don't think
I think
this.
if everybody from Canada plays,
Oh yeah,
I think it's Canada's to
yeah,
lose.
it's good. But
Like
honest,
if you have Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David out there, it's Canada's to lose.
yeah,
Yeah,
I I don't know. I honestly think it would be hilarious if like Saudi Arabia wins this tournament.
it would be so goddamn
It
funny if a
would be
non Concacaf
peak
team wins the
CONCACAF.
Concacaf Gold
It
Cup.
would be the CONCACAFing that we have ever, or like we get like a final between like Guadalupe, Saudi Arabia. That's CONCACAF right there. We need like a semi-final between one of the smaller nations in Saudi Arabia. But
Honestly, yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's very tough to support this team right now with every passing day politically. But obviously, everyone knows the rant. I won't go there.
Yeah.
We have 40 minutes on this episode.
Yeah, no, so the last thing I will say because you made the political statement, um, not really even statement, but I was at the bar with my friends for Memorial Day weekend this weekend, and one of our friends was wearing a US men's national team hat, and somebody came up to them and like accused them of being like a MAGA Republican kind of whatever for wearing a USA hat. And we all looked at the dude and we're like, you fucking idiot. That is a US men's national team hat. And like I said to the guy, I was like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't wear a US men's national team hat right now, but it's because I'm embarrassed by the team. It's not because of anything political.
I will say, unfortunately, the Venn diagram has a very large intersection,
Yes.
especially as of recently, considering we like had such a. So you're gonna get into political talk, but I'll just make it so short and simple. We had this group of people in the media who are like, "This sport's about togetherness. This sport is about community. This sport is about like people being together and enjoying life." And all of you fuckers have been quiet.
Yep. All
All of
right.
you are complicit.
All right. So the last thing that I want to say before I get out of here is, or before we get out of here, is that I had a game last night, and I play in a grown adult men's league. You know, like players are from the range of like I don't know, like 24 to like up to like 40. And my team showed up and we were short like three guys or two guys. And there was this group of kids, like high school kids, who were just kicking around at the pitch, just, you know, like having a good time. And we took the goals away from them because we needed them for our game. And we walked up to these group of kids and we're like, hey, do you guys want to play? So we had a 19-year-old kid and a 17-year-old kid. The 19-year-old played striker and the 17-year-old played center back. Oh my fucking god. They were the best two players on the goddamn field. It was insane. Like The 19-year-old who was playing striker in like a PSG quarter zip had like the best touch on the pitch. His fucking skill moves were insane. He was ripping shots from everywhere on the field. The center back was like 5'4", like Lissandro Martinez type monster, like good version of Lissandro Martinez, by the way. Like bodying people off the ball who were like literally twice his size. Like I've literally never seen anything like it. My teammates and I just anytime they did something crazy, we were like, the fuck is going on? Can we have these kids every week? It was insane. We also won like 8-4. And they combined for like 3 of the goals.
Ryan allowed 4 goals in 90 minutes. He might be on Nana.
Hey, 46 minutes. It's 23-minute halves.
Wow.
It's also a small field, and it was pouring fucking rain. If I'm being super critical of myself, which I usually am, I probably should have only allowed 2. Two of them were bad. 2 of them were really bad. The other 2 were maybe savable, maybe not. But I did have somebody come up to me after the game from the team for the next game and be like, "Hey, yo, dude, like, can I get your number?" He was like, "I play on a bunch of teams like throughout Jersey City and Hoboken, and like we're always looking for goalies." And he was like, "And I'm gonna put it lightly." He was like, "You're good as fuck, so like I want your number to be able to like have you play." And that shit made me feel good.
Good job, Ryan.
Like they were asking me to play goalie for them while their other goalie was gonna go play in the field because their goalie was like, "You're better than me."
Good job, Ryan.
I'm gonna stop glazing myself, even though I feel like I am a damn good keeper. But we're gonna get out of here. I'm hoping Carl's gonna be back next week, but we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Peace, guys.
Better pray you don't lose to Hong Kong, bro. Like, actually, you will not survive the next episode. This is the most important 90 minutes of your life.
That's to Carl, by the way.